Okie dokie. Good morning, my friends. It is Tuesday, February 18th of 2025. We had President's Day holiday yesterday, and I just wanted to talk about one pretty sweet little setup that you could have took yesterday out of the pullback coming into the open. So remember, yesterday was President's Day. The market was closed technically, right? We have the market still trades overnight. It trades into the open and then closes early in the day. I think for it was 1 p.m. Eastern when it officially closed, right? And we know on holidays, no professionals are really there, right? And it's typically very low volume. So when we came in yesterday morning and we didn't do any type of pre-markets, we basically were closed, but that doesn't mean I wasn't trading or looking at the charts. So when we came in on President's Day morning, which was Monday of this week, the market was pulling back into the first roadmap level of support. We had our 200 moving average. We all know after the crossover, if they're going to pull back after leaving the area of the 200 and coming back into it, a lot of times we do get a parry right off the 200. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but we do know when it happens, it's typically going to hold within a point or two and reverse right off of it, right? So I knew we were pulling back right into the 200. I knew we were pulling back right into our major roadmap level at 61.3775. And I noticed all throughout, this must have been Friday's price action here, the market was holding from that major roadmap level, right? Not surprising that we came into it and failed off that level once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and 5 times on Friday of last week, where again, you could have taken shorts off of here and basically made money all into the end of the week on Friday there. That's a little bit of a digression. So we have this really nice resistance level. It did admittedly hold in the overnight session with a beautiful bullish divergence as it peaked through the VWAP. That is a real textbook setup, especially as we're holding the high of the overnight session, the resistance that we saw on Friday. And so that would have been great. But I noticed we were pulling back right into that very area. I know there was a lot of responses for the bulls and the bears from there. I knew the 200 was sitting there. And as we were pulling into the first major roadmap little area here from 38.5 to 37.5, I saw this major divergence. Look at where price is. So basically flat compared to the low of the overnight there. And yet our RVI was way down here. Sorry about that. Now, it was not just the 512 showing all this divergence, but on the 3-minute here, which again is something I've started to mention in our little lessons here in the pre-market. If we can go back to, where were we? Is this the right date? Give me a second here. So 17th was yesterday. That was, let me find the open here. So there's that parry off the VWAP in the overnight session. It balanced out. And then we pulled back into, here it is, right here. So there's that major roadmap level at 37.75. There it is here on our 3-minute chart. And here it is just before the market opens. There's the 9:30 candle, 9:39. Starts pulling back. And as we're coming right into that very level, right here on the 512, right, this area of what I'm arguing is a very highly probable area for some type of bounce. It could have just been for 2 points right into the VWAP, but it's a very probable area for a rotation. And as we pull into it here on the 3-minute, look at what the 3-minute was showing me as I was putting my trade on here. There was a lot of bullish divergence as we were coming in. This was starting to get really extreme. And then on my 15-minute, which I also have on another screen, if we go back to that setup off that level, I want to show you what I saw on the 15-minute here. We had this very pattern starting to form. Push to a lower low compared to the previous swing. Push to a higher low in comparison to the previous swing. So my 15-minute was showing this divergence. My 3-minute was starting to show divergence around that area. And then I had my 512 showing divergence down as we were testing in. And you can see I got entered off the roadmap level to the tick. I understood there was some risk. They could have just squashed right through there because I did have some bearish signals from the high of the overnight session. which by the way was right off our roadmap level here. But I did think it was a good bet. And then this was the second thing that I saw that caused me to enter in again and enter in on a separate account. And that was right down here. Show you what I saw on the 3-minute. Let's see if we can zoom on in. So as the market's testing the low of the bounce right there at 36.25, right? So I missed out on getting stopped by quite literally 2 or 3 ticks, but it bounced out. Not surprising, right? Usually 2 points below the levels as far as it gets. And then it comes down, and this took a couple minutes, but it came right back down to the low. And when it was coming back to that low, we had a double bottom, and the 3-minute was showing this potential divergence. And that is the very pattern that I like to see, right? A push to a low, slightly higher low on the RVI, a double bottom on price, beautiful reversal, potential reversal pattern. So then I entered again as it was bouncing, and you can see on the 512, there's the double bottom, and there's the 512 divergence off the double bottom, right? So it didn't form, it didn't actually form and confirm, but the potential was there off that double bottom. You can see here, as we tested the very low, RVI hadn't even come back even into the 20 line. So I went ahead and added another contract. I got filled at 37.5. From there, they never came back, right? I kept my stop first down below the swing of the move, and then we came up and we made this higher low, and I moved my stops just 2 ticks below there, and that was my trade of the day. I took profit up in front of this first roadmap level, and as you can see, that was the high of the day. So this is quite literally how easy it is to make money on a holiday. I don't know how many times in these slow-moving markets we get these beautiful little reversal patterns right off a very good level, and sure enough, it just kind of slowly trends in the direction of that move. So if you look to yesterday, Monday, which was President's Day, they came up. So in the overnight session, we'll just take a look again. They held up through the 200 here, right? Why isn't this responding? Came right up through and then held right there. And then that began the push to the higher highs. And as you can see, they came right up into the first roadmap level where you could have shorted there. That was the high the day before and the roadmap level. And you got the whole pullback going into the middle of the night there. Or I should say this is around midnight. For 2 or 3 hours, you should have got the pullback right to VWAP where you should have taken your profit. Okay? So that was a beautiful little short. And then again, there is the reversal pattern off the VWAP. And then they came right back up and got failure right off the roadmap level again. If you shorted 46 again, you took on 1 point of risk, 1.25 of risk, and then you got the sell-off, hopefully again taking profit around Hopel on the pullback, and then hopefully right around Hopel in the VWAP, and then some profit right around the next roadmap level in the 200 where you would expect it to bounce. So there were some great rotations going into the Sunday Globex into Monday morning, the closed holiday. And then there again, there's the long we just talked about. And then at the end of the day, you could have shorted that 46 level again, or in the middle of the day here because they closed early. You got a double top, a very clear bearish divergence, basically the inverse of the setup we just talked about from the lows over here. And then you got the little pullback at the end of the day that did follow through right back to the roadmap level that held all through Sunday and Monday's market there. And now here we are. Interestingly enough, they held it again last night, and now the market has pushed out. We're coming up to new highs here, and as you can see in the overnight session, they pulled right back to 37.75, the very level I took long yesterday, and then rode up the VWAP to the high of the day and high of the overnight. And now you can see as they pulled back, parried to the tick off the roadmap level, which was, look, the previous swing high there. Bam, bam, comes right to it, bounces out, and then they come right to the 200 here. Big bullish divergence just a couple hours ago, and now they're launching back out. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I was thinking about going long here as I was doing my pre-market this morning, getting ready for the pre-market that we're doing right now. I noticed that, look at this divergence. You see this big divergence? Well, as it was coming down into VWAP, or into the Hopel, I did kind of think about taking a long here. The only thing that made me question it, and maybe I shouldn't have, was the fact that we had kind of chopped over here so much already, and we did come in and fail, come above it and bounce above it, get above it and bounce above it and bounce above it. So when we came back down inside of this little choppy area, I held off. But look what happened here. There's the divergence that I was watching and really kind of got my eyes to the screen to question whether I should do it or not. And now you have the bounce. So I probably would have had a nice, healthy 2-point, 4-point, 5-point fill in multiple accounts and would have started my week out really well. But hey, coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? Now I did just take a short from 56 here because I'm starting to get a bunch of bearish clues from this high. Why am I seeing bearish clues? Well, up off the highs here, look at that 3-minute setup here from 57.25, which is right after I got in, right after that 57.25 divergence. We've got divergence up here on the 3. I believe my 15-minute, wherever it is, I've kind of moved it to a different screen now, was also showing pretty short bearish divergence up off these highs. So there's the swing to the new high of the overnight. Here's the lower high on the RVI. I saw all that, and then on my 512 here, I noticed same thing, divergence off the new high of the overnight session here. I noticed we pulled back to this slightly higher high, and I entered at 56. And then we've got this triple top here with bearish divergence. That gave me faith to stay in and put my stop right above that swing. And now I'm hoping for the pullback to 51.5. So it's not a huge trade. It's more just a counter trend scalp to see if we can get the breakdown back to test this swing where we bounced earlier. But I know that if we come into the fast moving average right now, especially the way it looks here, we have a double bottom. We do have the beginnings of a divergence kind of forming. If this bounces out, actually I might have to take that back. What do we have? 50.59, 50.8. I guess technically it is slightly higher. So if we don't break this low right here and the market starts to come back up, I'm going to get out of this trade because it was a little bit more risky scalp to get just a quick 4 or 5 points down. And I don't really want to take on the risk here because if it does come back, I do think we're most likely going to test the high of the overnight session here. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. I am in short, small size to see if I could just get a quick scalp coming into the morning. Of course, doesn't have to work out. So I am expecting that if it doesn't get below the FMA here and it comes back, that I'm most likely going to close the trade out. So that's basically it for the review. Hopefully that was a good kind of lesson as to how I think when I'm looking for trade setups. And you can see where I got in yesterday. You can see where I wanted to get in this morning and kind of hesitated. And it ended up becoming a to-the-tick rotation off the Hopel. And you can see where I got in and why I got in for a potential pullback right now into 51.5. Right? Again, it's not going to be a big trade. It's basically a 4-point trade into the first expected support. And if it keeps going, then I'll catch a runner. But that is it, my friends. We'll go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames now and see if there's anything new on the charts to talk about this week.